So, we're playing Crash Bandicoot.
Hello.
Hello. I'm Richard,
I'm AJ.
and we're currently playing a level in the first game called The Lab.
We should back up and explain that despite what this looks like, and despite we've got a bout of new subscribers recently. For those who have made it this far into what looks like a Let's Play,
We don't do this a lot.
we probably will never do this again. This is actually an episode of the Popture podcast, technically. So if you are listening to this on iTunes or SoundCloud, none of what we've said so far has made any sense.
We're going to think this through.
And if the capture doesn't work, then that talk was for nothing. Basically, what we're doing today, whenever you're listening to this, is because it's been a nostalgic week for those of us born in 1993.
Only 90s kids will get this.
Because something I was very apprehensive about was the Crash Bandicoot remastered trilogy, or the N.Sane trilogy, which came out.
Oh, fuck. Okay, I've just...
last week. You right?
Yep. I just...
And
So
just because it's easy and because we're busy at the moment watching Godzilla for Film Franchise Fortnights, I thought, why don't we do a real casual kind of podcast where we sort of half review, half gush over Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, fucking hell.
And then Richard was like, well, one of us, was it me or you, suggested we play? It was me.
Yeah, you were like, let's play it. And then I was like, let's try and record us playing it.
And all of a sudden, our casual, easy podcast to do, because we're both very busy, has become potentially difficult, but it hasn't been difficult so far, so that's all good.
Oh, fuck. Oh, okay.
What are you doing?
Oh, there's boxes on top of the thing. So I'm just this is the last level I have to do in the first game, so I'm now going to just try and blitz through it.
Okay.
I'm going to make like Wolf Blitzer and blitz through it.
You're going to make like Jordan Peele's directorial debut and Get Out.
Yeah.
Okay, so a cool place to start maybe would be, Richard, do you want to tell me and tell the audience your Crash Bandicoot story?
All right. Well, I growing up we were never
not your
really...
fan fiction, but how you grew up with Crash Bandicoot.
So growing up, I was never really allowed a gaming console for a lot of my childhood, and so I didn't get a okay. So back up, my cousins had.
So I had this dog.
My cousins had Crash Bandicoot, and they lived in Dunedin, so me and my sister would have to go down to Dunedin to play Crash Bandicoot. But I kind of fell in love with it, and so this was probably Crash 3, I'm pretty sure they had. That's the one I distinctly remember playing. And then after years and years of pleading, we finally got our own PlayStation, well into the life of the PlayStation 2. And yeah, we pretty much the only game we wanted was Crash Bandicoot 3. And then eventually we managed to find a copy of Crash 2, because they were already relics at this point.
Yeah.
And so until the release of the N.Sane trilogy, I'd never played the first one, except for I downloaded it on my PS3 one day and played it for about 20 minutes and then was like, this is dumb. And that's my experience with Crash Bandicoot, because I got to the point save codes and shit like that.
Yeah.
And thankfully they've done away with that in the N.Sane trilogy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically my story. And now I've come in and I've played the first one for the first time ever, and boy is it hard compared to the other two.
Awesome. I'll tell my story now, if you don't mind. I was kind of hoping you'd invite me to.
No, I was about to. I'm just concentrating on the game.
Okay, so I remember distinctly getting a PS1 when I was about 4, and not knowing what it was. I remember playing Crash Bandicoot and not knowing what it was. I remember... I don't remember a lot about playing Crash Bandicoot 1, but I remember my mum... I feel like I've told this story in the podcast before. I might have. I remember my mum was looking at a farmer's brochure maybe it was a Decker brochure, and Mum was like, "Oh look, it's Crash Bandicoot," pointed like in the games section, and I was like, "That's a different one."
Yeah.
And Mum was like, "Oh, this as well. It's Crash Bandicoot 2." And in my 4-year-old brain, I interpreted that as Crash Bandicoot TOO. And
Yeah.
and I remember that revealing what a sequel was to me. Like,
That's right. I have heard this story before on the on the podcast, possibly just in our own personal lives.
yeah. I remember, like, I'd never heard of a sequel, or at least wasn't aware of the concept of them.
And now you got a whole
Crash
podcast
Bandicoot
on them.
Yeah. And then I remember I got up in the middle of the night. Probably like
shit.
6:30 because I was 4. And I went out into the lounge, and Dad was playing Crash Bandicoot 2, and my brother was there drinking a Milo, and he was like, "Dad got Crash 2." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And it was this like,
He got Crash as well.
yeah. And yeah, I remember my whole family was real into Crash 2. I remember so if you're not from New Zealand, for some reason, so we have a potato chip company here called Bluebird, and they did a thing where you would get a Crash Bandicoot 2 trading card with every big packet of chips you bought.
Yeah.
And we had like almost all of them, and I've recently bought them again, which is pretty cool because they kind of disappeared from my life. And we also had this massive Crash Bandicoot 2 poster that you could put all the cards you get from these Bluebird chip packets in these clear pockets. They were connected to the poster, and I think my family still has that poster. Anyway, that is to say that Crash Bandicoot 2 was very much a part of my like upbringing.
Would you say it's like a third parent to you?
Sorry everyone if it didn't shut off, the laptop just went blank.
All right, and I'm sucking at this.
Okay, no,
So I'm actually going to hand it over to AJ now.
Oh, okay.
AJ, so that was me controlling the...
Okay, so this is me controlling now. We're playing the lab.
All right, and so we'll play this for a little bit more, and then hopefully you can finish it, and then we can get to we'll play some Crash 2 and 3. Yeah. Oh, you can stand on there?
Yeah, dude. So then I remember getting being really excited for Crash 3, and then getting it for Christmas, and it was really awesome. And then obviously CTR came out after that. You never really played CTR either, did you?
No, I never owned it, but I've played it at like friends' houses and shit like that.
Okay, so needless to say, Crash Bandicoot was very much like a lot of my childhood. I think of Crash Bandicoot when I think of my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, I was obsessed with it. Like, I was drawing pictures of it. I was pretending I was Crash Bandicoot outside, like when I'd play by myself outside. And so yeah, it was, and like obviously after Naughty Dog left the series, which happened after CTR, there were, obviously the golden days of Crash Bandicoot were over. Where there's a few,
some might say that there's a couple of good. Oh, I mean, obviously that would still mean that the golden years were over if there's only a few, but my point remains.
Yeah, I think there are a few cool Crash Bandicoot games that were made by Naughty Dog. I quite like Twin Sanity.
Yeah, Twin Sanity's like considered by a few people to be the best one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So I, instead of following the Crash Bandicoot games, I more followed Naughty Dog. So I every game series Naughty Dog made, which includes Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, Uncharted, The Last of Us.
Which is now a series as well.
Yeah. But I grew up with Naughty Dog's, like the maturity to which their games were aimed at, right?
Yeah.
Sort of like Pixar. Damn, sorry, I'm trying to talk while...
Maybe recording a podcast about it while playing the game wasn't a good idea.
Now I know how the Game Grumps feel. So, yeah, when... I'd still kept up, and I'd actually... I'd clocked for the first time the second game. Damn it! All right, no, I'm actually gonna play now.
Okay.
I've got 0 lives.
Okay, so I think after you die here or finish the level,
yeah.
Sure, we'll play some Crash 2, eh?
Okay. Like in the last year, I actually clocked Crash Bandicoot 2 for the first time, and when I say clocked, I don't mean finish. I mean I got 100%.
Yeah.
because that's what clocked means. So when people are like, have you clocked it? It's like, no, of course I haven't clocked it.
Yeah.
That takes months to clock a game.
Yeah, especially now with
Yeah.
in the remaster, they've added time trials to every game, which was originally only in the third one.
Yeah.
And I clocked 2, hundreds of times.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever fully clocked 3 because there's a couple of levels that are like impossible to get.
The first one. So okay, we're sort of starting to get into review now. But before we do, I do want to just state that I was actually pretty doubtful that this was going to be any good. Before it came out, I don't know why. There was just something about the aesthetic, and I was like, it's just the same game. Like, it's not. It's nothing fresh.
Oh, he's gonna do it.
It's just exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's no. What I'm saying is I didn't think it was going to be received very well, but I would actually say I have been more than impressed with the remaster. And so that sort of brings me to the first thing I wanted to get at with the remaster, and one of the things I like about it the most is that, yes, it's still just as challenging. Richard's playing now. It's just as challenging, especially the first one. The first one was so hard back in the day because it was a badly made game.
Yeah.
So by that I mean you would jump onto a box, and with 64-bit graphics you couldn't really tell if you were going to land on it or not, stuff like that. So they've kept that challenge there, but something they've added was that in the original game, so the way you get bonuses in Crash 1 is that you'll collect Torna heads, and Torna's Crash's girlfriend, and by Torna heads I mean like symbols.
It's an odd phrase.
And when you get 3, you go to a bonus level. In the original version, and same with the Nitrous Brio bonuses, you have one shot to complete that
one
bonus.
Opportunity.
And
would you capture it?
And that's also the only way you can save the game, is by beating a bonus. So back in the day, playing Crash Bandicoot 1 was like a desperate mad dash to be able to like save your progress. And so it was less about like it was less about getting all the boxes and like doing what you feel was like a completion of the level, and just desperately trying to get to the end so you could save your game.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, if you die in a bonus, you get to do it again as many times as you want. And while I think some people might cite that as being something that's easier about it, I don't think it is easier, because the game's just as difficult. It's just less hopeless now.
Right.
And there's actually for the first time in my life, I have completed Nitrous Brio bonuses, and I've completed Neo Cortex bonus levels, because I can do them more than once, because you get those back in the day. You have no idea how to work out the puzzle. Yeah. And so you jump, you land on a TNT, you freak out and fall off, and that was your chance.
Yeah. So that level I just played a level called the Great Hall, which is the shortest level in the entire series.
Yeah.
And it leads to a secret ending.
Yeah.
If you have all the crystals, or gems, sorry. But anyway, what do you say we, rather than defeating Neo Cortex and ending the first game, shall we crack on to some Crash 2?
Let's do it.
Cool. So here we are.
In
Crash 2. We're playing a level called Snowbiz.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no biz like Snowbiz. And we'll go life for life on this one, John.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Or should we do time trials?
Nah.
Okay. We'll save that for the third one, maybe, because that's where they're from.
So what were we talking about?
We were just about to talk about Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, yeah. So out of all of them, I'm a little bit through the third game now. I'm about halfway through the third game in my playthrough. And I think the original is the best.
Right, that's
in the
really
remaster. I think it has.
I think it gains the most from the remaster.
That's what I mean. Is that there's more? There was so much more to improve in the first one than there was in the other two. So, that's what I think. I reckon the first one, it's like this. It's still as challenging, but it's not. It's not as hopeless as I said before. And so I think it's actually really gained something from that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've nothing to fuck. So AJ's taking over now. I mean, I have no kind of reference point for it, I guess. from what I understand, it's a lot better. And like, there's levels in the first one that I was like, this is actually impossible. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do this. And then there's levels that are like super challenging, but also really fun.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, the first one's definitely like a good game, but I can see where the problems were initially. And so it's cool to see it's just cool to play these games again, man.
Yeah. I agree.
And because for me, it was like, not only am I getting to play like two of my favorite games of all time, but I'm like getting a new one that's just as good. Like it's not the same as, buying whatever what's the fourth one called? Wrath of Cortex? No, Cortex. No, Wrath of Cortex.
Yeah.
Which I did buy.
Yeah, we bought that the other day because I was telling Richard about it, and so
about how it's not that bad. So
it isn't.
Yeah, so I went out and bought it for like $10 off someone. And so the night that the remaster came out, I was playing Crash 4.
Crash. It's weird to hear it called Crash 4, because to me, Crash 4 is CTR.
Right.
Yeah. So I think, should we talk about things I wish they did?
Yeah. Okay. So what's missed opportunities in the
Okay. So first of all, I
are
love
we counting that as a death.
Oh yeah, sorry. First of all, I love that you can play as Coco. I think that's such a cool decision. Because I was thinking about it. It's like, imagine being like someone's little sister and wanting to play Crash Bandicoot, and now you get to play as Coco. Like that to me, that's dope. And I think you probably could have just done it so you can play as her in the because you can't play as her in every level, obviously. But I don't know why.
You need crouch and jump.
Because, I mean, all you have to do is change it so that it's Coco riding a warthog instead of Crash,
Yeah.
Because you can actually ride the T-Rex as Coco and Crash walked.
Oh yeah, interesting.
But what I would have liked, and this is very ambitious, I guess. And
you missed a box, man.
I understand if people meet this with some kind of haste or they don't like this idea, but I think it'd be a cool idea if you could just play as more characters. Like, I was thinking about this, and I'm tempted to say like, oh, every time you beat a boss you can play as that character, but what I think would be a caveat to that is you have to play each level as either Crash or Coco before you can play it as anyone else. Right, so you beat Papu Papu, and then you can play as Papu Papu in every level before Papu Papu and after, if you've beaten them as Crash.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I understand why you'd say that, but it's like, at the same time, people want Crash Bandicoot. They don't want Papu Papu.
But that's
like Coco's, like, I don't know. You have to think about where the developers would have been while making this. Is like, they had to walk such a fine line, because do people just want the same game like molded up, or are there people like you out there who are like, this is a waste of an opportunity?
Well, I wouldn't say that's entirely my stance, are
there stone-hearted jerks out there like you that think that this game is just a waste of time and nothing more?
No, but okay. Here's the difference: is like 50 Shades of Grey poster,
and just partially obscuring the screen. I'm going to be off mic for one moment.
I think that that there's a difference between making changes and making additions. Like, adding Coco as a playable character is an addition.
Yeah.
Making it so that, I don't know, what's an example of a change?
You can save your bonuses.
No, well, that's an addition.
Right.
Like,
a change would be, there's a new warp room.
No, that's an addition.
A change would be Crash Bandicoot's not in it.
Yeah, that would be a change.
All right.
But what I mean, passing over to Richard now. Should
we do one more level in Crash 2 so we've got like even time in each game?
Okay. I think what I'm trying to get at is like, you should be able to play the game as they were completely.
Right, but then
you can do more stuff if you want.
Right.
Because
Like if you gave him new pants or something like that.
Yeah. Give me skins. Give me like different skins that I can dress Crash up as. Like I love customization in games, and like I guess that's where this comes from. It's like you could have an achievement for finishing the entire game as Papu Papu. Like things like that, you know? And like I actually think they should have included not necessarily entirely new levels, but like for example, there's this famous I was going to say urban legend, but it's not. It's more a I don't know. There was a cancelled level from Crash 1 called Stormy Ascent.
Yeah.
That was a really difficult version of Slippery Climb, which is the hardest level in the game.
Yeah, now it's interesting you bring that up because I, having never played it before, let's go Turtle Woods. Having never played it before, thought, oh man, Slippery Climb, this is going to be such a bitch to get through. And then if I didn't know, I wouldn't have thought that was considered very hard.
Yeah. It's easier in this one then.
Oh, okay. I'm sure it is.
No, I found it pretty easy. I found the high road hard.
Yeah, like it was weird. There was like things in this game that I like. I don't know, because I'd heard so many rumors about the first one that like finally getting around to playing them was this really weird sort of like. I don't know, because I had so many expectations, whereas like when you're a kid and playing these games, you wouldn't have had any expectations of what it should be like, you know?
Okay, if you beat all of Crash Warped as Ripperoo, you get the achievement Quantum Leap.
Okay.
Because he's a kangaroo. And Crash 3 is about time travel.
That's a good one.
Can you think of any?
If you beat Crash 2 as Tiny Tiger, you get the achievement Tiny Tiger. Sorry, I got put on the spot.
Yeah, I think so. It's very possible that they're going to do CTR next, or some form of CTR. I certainly think it's an interesting thing to consider that like Crash Bandicoot is back on the scene. So like we will get a new Crash Bandicoot game in the next couple years, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Whether that's a remaster or an entirely fresh new game, which would be interesting. You know?
Yeah, I mean, they'd be silly not to. Which is like, I sound like, you know, any reporter that's currently doing a report on the remaster, because that's basically all they've said. Yeah, everyone's like, Spyro's next.
Yeah.
Apparently, based on the fact that it'd be cool if they did it. So.
Yeah. But I reckon if they do CTR, they should call it like Crash Team Racing Plus and do what I'm saying. Because CTR is a very short game.
CTR lends itself the most, I'd say, to like additions, because like who gives a shit? You just fucking put a new face on a car and you've got a new level, like,
and like put online play on it, you know, like race people online and stuff like that. Like that'd be sweet.
Because there is like an online kind of element to this.
Is there?
Because there's because of the new time trials being across all the games. You can now compare your time trial with, you know, the world leaderboard, or even just your buddies if you've got some.
Well, I've got you. Yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly happy with the game we got.
I'm perfect.
I think there's a couple things that have annoyed me, but nothing.
Yeah, there's this
really
whole thing about the jump physics, but I don't really want to get into it.
Yeah, I don't mind it, to be honest. Everyone's mad at the jump physics, but I don't really care. I like that.
It's sold out everywhere. Like, this game has gone gangbusters.
Yeah, man. And that's really cool. And so if you're listening to this and you, for some reason, you're one of Cold Popture's 59 listeners, and you've come to us to know whether or not you should get it because you're not sure, I definitely say get it, because it's actually real good and it looks beautiful. Like, for that reason alone, I'd recommend getting it. Is that
I wonder how much it would appeal to someone new to the franchise.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, even then though, it is a callback to a type of game they don't really make anymore. Yeah,
exactly. And like, people are seeing now. Oh yeah, I got a gem. People are seeing now that like this type of game sells. You know, like it's nostalgia, but it's also there is a love for this kind of game, and they don't make them anymore. They tried to make them with ukulele, but they didn't really work.
Oh, ukulele's more a Jack and Daxter or Banjo-Kazooie clone.
But it's still that I guess Knack's probably the closest thing we've had on the PS4.
Yeah.
Because that originally started as a Crash Bandicoot game, apparently.
I don't reckon that's true.
Well, not like the exact gameplay, but they would have just been like, let's make a Crash. I'm pretty sure it was like, we're going to make a Crash Bandicoot game.
Yeah.
And then they just, let's just make it some fucking weird rock shit.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm just going to save my game. And then, what do you say we play some Crashy 3? Crashy 3.
You should tell your Crashy story.
What?
Your Crashy story from the other night.
Alright, we're just going to load up Crash Bandicoot 3 and they're just going to remind me what story he's talking about. What time won't pass for you, but just a moment.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right, the Crashy story.
How cool is it, first of all, how cool is it that like this is how she time travels to the different games?
Ah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. She's like looking at the... Well, don't do it now, Coco. Fine. It's me playing, by the way, now. While Richard had to use all his might to remember the Crashy story.
Yeah, so what happened was, as previously mentioned, I went out to buy Crash Bandicoot 4, as I like to call it. And the guy opened the door, and I was like... Because, obviously, you're never sure if you have the right house, because it was like a 9A kind of thing. And so I knocked on the door, and the guy opened the door, and I was like, oh, hey, I'm here to buy, and he's like, a little bit of Crashy Crash? And I was like, it's funny to hear someone talk exactly how I would talk to someone. So...
That's the Crashy. That's the famed Crashy.
That's the infamous Crashy story of
I wanted
017.
to play Orient Express because if you are seeing this game for the first time, check out what happens when you die on this level. Oh, no, wrong death.
Yeah, it's like...
The one death that doesn't do it. Anyway, so my mum loves tigers, right? And so I sent her the video of me playing this on Facebook. It was very hard to do with one hand, but I did.
Yeah. Do you know that hanging basket just before? If you hit that, you get a life.
Do I hit these? Yeah, here we go. Look at this. Look at this. It's adorable.
Because it used to have quite a cute animation as well. Yeah, it was a different one. She would trip and get
I missed it.
and something else would happen, but it was it was equally cute.
Yeah, man. Coco's so hot, dude. Seriously. That's, I think, the biggest eye opener for every like guy playing this was this. They slowly realized that Coco was like somewhat.
Coco's the dream is your dream girl.
Yeah, Coco's somewhat responsible for like your sexual awakening, and like all the guys who are playing that now are like, oh jeez.
This is why I have a Bandicoot fetish. I never knew.
Imagine if you had a Bandicoot fetish and you just couldn't figure out why. You didn't even think of it. Like, I can't think of a Bandicoot without thinking of Crash Bandicoot first. It's not like he's like Crash the bear. Like, like when I think of bears, I don't think of Winnie the Pooh first.
Oh, so can we just talk about, you'll see here, my favourite part about this game is those purple crystals look beautiful in this game. The lighting on them is like phenomenal.
I missed one in Hanging Out in Crash 2 and I had to do it again.
Yeah, I've missed them as well because it's actually like it's a flaw of how beautiful they are is that they completely blend into the background because they illuminate everything. But it's every time I come up to a crystal, I like stop in awe of it.
So here's what I think. I think the first game, Rich is playing now. He's going to impress us. He's going to wow us.
Well, I'm probably not. I'm like, it might take me a few goes, but I love doing growing up, I did hundreds of times. I just love doing the time trial on Orient Express. So you have to play it once to get the time trial, so we're going to
here's what I think. Crash Bandicoot 1, both in the remaster and the original, has the best levels. I think the levels have the most like clout to them and the most like beauty to them. Like they're real pretty. I think Crash Bandicoot 2 has like the best story. I think that I like that feeds into the gameplay. Like you know why you're getting the gems. You know why you're getting the crystals, and it's very clear and it's exciting. It's exciting to think that by
It's funny as well.
Yeah. By getting gems, you're like actually spitting in the face of Cortex, because obviously Nitrous Brio wants to destroy him with them.
Obviously.
Yeah, I'm saying that like you're playing with it. And I think Crash 3 is the best gameplay. But for each thing they gain... You missed
the title.
For each of these points, like, I think they lose something. Like, I actually don't really like the levels in Crash 3 that much. Not in terms of, like, aesthetic. Like, they're fine, they're well designed, but I more prefer that you can double jump and gain powers and use a bazooka in Crash 3 than what the levels look like. They're cool, they're fine. But, like, those, like, the Lost City or Sunset Vista in the first Crash Bandicoot are so beautiful. And, like,
They're like the Coco of levels.
I think that's what was actually lost.
Oh, no, real bad.
As the games progressed, they lost that feeling that you're actually going on, like, an organic journey. Because this is, like, all through time, so there's like, a level of cartooniness to it. Whereas Crash 1 was like a cartoon in a real world.
Yeah. It was pretty bad time for me. You know, I missed a couple of threes. I probably could have done better.
That's okay, man.
Only a gold relic, alright?
It's pretty good. I never got a gold relic when I was playing with.
I'm gonna put in my... Oh, fuck. Press the wrong trigger and save my name as nothing. So nothing has the top time. Let's see. Shall we see how that stacks up worldwide?
Okay.
Just show off these new features.
Unless the capture didn't work and people are just listening to us.
You're right. Well, I can still talk about it. I can still say. So I got a time of 20 seconds on that, which earned me a gold relic. It's currently the top time for this save because it hasn't been played else. Yeah. Okay. Do your little dance. All right. Display top times. Display target time. So to get relic, if I got that 3, I would have gone to platinum relic, dude.
Nice.
Leaderboard. Top time is 11 seconds 19.
That's insane.
And I rank. Okay, that's my best time I've gotten so far. That the one that's flashing.
Yeah.
But that was on a different.
So you're third in the world. Is that what that means?
Yeah. Let's say that.
No, what does it mean?
I guess. I don't know.
Surely more than 14 people have played.
Yeah, no, see, like, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all within a few seconds of each other. A few milliseconds. But, you know what? I probably am, like, third in the world. Anyway, just this awkward silence. Can you dive here? No, you can't.
No, of course not.
Alright, should we play another one? What's a good one? Should we play one of the dumb jet ski levels or underwater levels?
Oh, the jet ski levels. So
it's just
2 days ago,
Toad Village is a classic.
2 days ago, Richard was like, "Are there any levels in Crash, like the Crash Bandicoot games, that you just hate?" Because he was like, "Oh, what was you were saying you hate?"
The second underwater level, I'm just like, ugh.
Oh, Deep Trouble.
Yeah, it's like I can do it, but I could never get the time trial on it, and it's one where you have to backtrack as well. So I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah. And I said to him, "No, I don't think there are any levels that I hate." But my goodness.
My goodness, I hate these games.
No, I don't. Here's a list of levels I don't like.
In alphabetical order.
I don't like the plant waterfall levels in Crash 2 because there's too many of them. I don't like the sewer levels.
They're there because they're identical.
Because there's too many of them, and I think that's. And I'll get to that in a second. I don't like the underwater levels, and I'm not a big fan of the Arabian Night levels.
Really, I love those ones too.
Yeah, they're alright. I just don't like the I don't like the theme. It's not really like anything about them.
Actually, I want to die here because I want to see it. Oh wait, it's
same.
not gonna.
I wanted to see what he looks like when he dies there as well.
I've got an Aku, so I'll lose it one here and then try and lose it somewhere else. So I'm not gonna get that. Oh, but then I want the box.
No, just ignore it.
Do it and then get killed by a goat or something.
Yeah. So the motorbike levels, I'm just real bad at it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't win the motorbike levels in Crash 3, and you can't progress without winning them. And it's annoying because it's not like I'm bad at Crash Bandicoot. It's just that one type of game that the rest of the game isn't that I'm bad at.
Yeah, it's like I like that Crash 3 put those things in, but they're not,
Yeah. And so I think that's what I was sort of getting at was like, I think it's a shame that they kept the identical levels because you don't need to do much to make those levels.
Like that they kept them in Crash and the remaster.
Yeah, well, even made them at all, to be honest.
Right, yeah, because I was going to say, like, they can't just not include levels because they're similar to other levels.
No, of course not. I don't mean that. I mean, but like, if you look at, so in the first warp room of Crash 2, there's a level called Turtle Woods that we played before, and there's a level called The Pits, which are the same tile set. That's what I'm looking for. They're the same tiles.
Oh, here we go. Let's see how he looks when he does.
That's different.
Yeah, they changed that. So it used to be that he would like hold onto his stomach, and then his legs would walk away from him. That's quite cool. I like that they've changed that.
Yeah.
Like that's a change.
Yeah, that's a change you can find palatable.
Look how beautiful the lighting is on this thing.
Yeah, man.
Doesn't it? Oh my god. Oh, just spin it away.
Yeah, I think because so the pits compared to Turtle Woods, that I can't remember if this was in the original game. I feel like they've changed it. They made the pits set at like sunset, and so it's got this lovely golden like glow to it that Turtle Woods doesn't. Turtle Woods is raining.
Yeah,
and I don't like I don't know how you could change that in like the sewer level necessarily. Or the plant level you could just set at a different time. Yeah. But there's two jetpack levels in the same warp room. Like one of the jetpack levels should have been out in space, not in a space station.
Yeah, the jetpack levels suck, man.
I guess I don't understand the creative reasoning behind making a harder version of the same level that looks exactly the same. But other than that, these games are flawless.
Having said that, everything's perfect and shut up.
Yeah. Oh, those levels suck too.
Yeah, all the rest of these levels suck.
When I played Making Waves before, which is the jet ski levels, I basically just I just ignored all boxes and just to get to the end. I don't want to play this.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Crash 3 is the only levels that I want to just skip, I guess.
Right, yeah. What Crash is one of those ones that I want to get to the end so that I can, because you get powers. I just want to get to the end so that I can like play everything. I mean, like, what else should we do?
I don't know. I guess I've ran out of things to say. Get this game if you're ever into Crash Bandicoot. It's a great remaster. And like, do you think that video game remakes have more reason to exist than movie remakes? I think that's an interesting thing to cover.
Yeah.
Because the Abe's Odyssey remake wasn't better than the original.
So, explain that to me, because, I mean, is it the same thing, like just new skin?
They completely changed, like, the format of the game. So, whereas the original Abe's Odyssey was screen by screen, the new one is a side-scroller, so the camera follows you. And I can't. There's like all the controls are different. There's different. I don't know. Like a lot of the stuff is just things that people are nostalgic about. Like in the original Abe's Odyssey, if you wanted to get another character to follow you, the talk button said hello, follow me, okay. Yeah. And in the new one, it's how you going? Yeah, pretty good. Come on, well, okay. And it changes every time, right? Yeah. So like they lose that icon to it. Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of other. They took out a lot of the like darkness of it, so it's quite a bright and clean looking game. Whereas the whole point of Abe's Odyssey was kind of
that you couldn't even see it.
Well, no, that it was kind of supposed to be dirty, like a grungy, like you're in a gross.
It's the Nirvana of games.
Yeah, probably. That's a good way to put it. They were certainly around at the same time. So yeah, whereas this might piss off some people, and I don't really give a shit. The remaster are objectively better games, except for maybe that jump mechanic.
Yeah,
they're objectively better games, and maybe that does it for you.
Well, that's because they're the same games, but they look nicer.
Exactly, and I think it's the same thing with the original Jungle Book compared to the remake. the live action remake, because the live action remake's like
A good film, and the first one isn't.
well, the live action remake's objectively a better film. Like, it just has more in it. There's no argument that it isn't. But I still understand why the first one would be considered a classic. And
Yeah.
the reboot wouldn't be. But, yeah, I think there's something about a remaster of a game which, by its design, will have flaws, and the industry changes so much faster than the film industry does.
Yeah.
And, like, there's so much more leaps and bounds and advancements than what's in the film industry that it makes sense to remake a game every 20 years, you know?
Yeah, because due to lack of backwards compatibility,
It's real hard to find the Crash Bandicoot games.
yeah. Now, we're about to run out of time, so bye. Thanks for listening.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. Cult Popture.